It's the 25th of Ellul, Thursday, the 18th of September, 2025. Why do I mention the date? Well, I mention the date because if you've been reading the newspapers, there have been reports of the state visit of President Trump to the United Kingdom. And you may have seen pictures of the royal welcome, you may have seen pictures of the banquet that was put on by King Charles for President Trump. And you see all the pomp and circumstance surrounding the British monarchy. And that reminded me of a story that I think I've shared before, but I'm going to repeat because I think it's such an important story and such an important message that it's worth repeating, particularly at this time of year. Rabbi Yitzhak Tuvia Weiss, Zecher Tzadik Livracha, was an English citizen. He became the Av Beis Din, I believe, in Antwerp, and he also became the head, subsequently, of the Eder Haredik Beit Din in Yerushalayim, a very significant rabbinic figure who passed away a few years ago. And when he was a child, he lived in a city, a town, about 4 kilometers from Pressburg. When the Germans entered his city, the community leaders didn't know how to respond. They didn't know whether it was wise to listen to the Nazis' demands or whether they should tell the people of the city to evade all the decrees laid down and to try and escape. So the head of the community sent young Tuvia, as he then was, who was a child, to Pressburg. And he was told that he needed to explain to the head of the community in Pressburg that the situation was very bleak and they needed heavenly assistance. So young Tuvia went to Pressburg. He passed the message on to the head of the community in Pressburg, who appreciated the seriousness of the situation. And the head of the community then told young Tuvia that the King of England had apparently sent a train to save 1,000 children. And he'd received 1,000 tickets to distribute amongst the children. And the head of the community said, I don't know who to save. I don't know who's got precedence over whom. But since you've come here, you take a ticket and save yourself. So little Tuvia, as he was, went back home and he passed the report back to the head of the community in his city. He went home, he packed his bags, said goodbye to his parents, and went to the transport. And very soon he was in England with 1,000 other children. Now, apparently King George, who was on the throne at the time, wanted to see with his own eyes the 1,000 children that he'd saved. So they arranged for the children to line up on either side of the street, and the king, in his carriage, drove between them. And Tuvia Weiss reported, as his Rabbi Tuvia Weiss at the time reported this, he said, standing next to him was a very brave young boy. And when the king's carriage came nearby, the boy jumped out to get to approach the king. The king's attendants wanted to shoo the boy away, as naturally you can't have a young boy coming to approach the king, but the king said he wanted to hear what the child had to say. And the child had presumably had some English, understood some English, wanted to thank the king for saving so many children. But then the child apparently said, according to Rabbi Weiss, as he told as he reported the story, the child continued, it upsets me because the king's compassion isn't perfect. Because I left my parents and family behind. How can I be happy with my own salvation when I'm worried about the situation of my parents and my family. And the story goes that the king asked for a note to be taken of the child's name so that they could trace the parents and their address. And 2 weeks later, this boy's parents and his extended family came to England. And Rabbi Weiss emphasized that if the king was in his palace, the boy wouldn't have been able to speak to him. But since the king was outside his palace, the boy could approach the king and plead for his family. We're told about the Aseret Yemei Teshuvah. Yeshu Hashem Masu. Search for Hashem when he's near. In Ellul and in Tishrei, Hashem is near. If we approach the king, we can accomplish so much with our tefillot, with our prayers. But we've got to be wise. We've got to seize the opportunity. Just like that one child who was brave and seized advantage of the moment and asked for the impossible, the seemingly impossible. 999 other children remained in their places. They didn't take advantage of the king's appearance. Only one child didn't let the opportunity slip away. The king's with us. The king's here. We've got so much to plead for. Don't let the opportunity slip away. We're in the last few days. Grab them. Take the time. Daven. Say to him, just don't let the opportunity slip away.